Hey there, Disney fans, nerds, and geeks. I'm Camden from the Disney Nook, and today, let's talk about Fantasmic. Yeah, this coffee's a bit cold. So today, I just want to discuss the differences and compare the two Fantasmic shows in the US between Disneyland and in Disney's Hollywood Studios. And yes, Disneyland is my home park. No bias will be shown. None. Now it's important to note before we talk about these shows, Disneyland's Fantasmic, the show that I'm reviewing and talking about, is from 2022 because Disneyland's Fantasmic has returned while Disney World has not. So the show that I'm talking about from Disney World comes from about January in 2020. Thank you. First, let's talk about Disneyland's Fantasmic. Now the setup for Disneyland's Fantasmic is set on a smaller stage right across from the Rivers of America over in the New Orleans Square. Now, in terms of how you watch the show, you really gotta camp out your spot. You'll get a section that's roped off. It's a bit crowded, like really crowded considering it's like the biggest show. So the intro to the show obviously is gonna start with Mickey in his little tuxedo outfit going like do 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 do. I love the intro music. It's awesome. It's a very light, colorful, welcoming experience. And then of course it isn't a Fantasmic show without the little sparkler hands. I love the little sparkler hands. It's truly a disappointment when they don't work, but it's iconic. It's iconic. So right after this little intro bit, we move into kind of like the theme of what the show is. Fantasia. Now Fantasia and Fantasia 2000 are probably some of the best things that I think that Disney has produced ever. Now for the Fantasia section in the Disneyland show, they use the mops, you know, the little dancing, walking, humanized almost mops. Honestly, a great choice. It's a very memorable moment from the movies. Now this little part is mainly just projections onto water screens while they set up for the next big section. So here they use the intro to The Lion King, but then they bring out Kaa from the Jungle Book in a big multi-cast member manned puppet. And then for the projection on the water screens, they use Lion King. And then for the floating boats that pass by, there's the monkeys from the Lion King. But then there's King Louie from the Jungle Book. Now I see that they did an intersection of the Lion King and the Jungle Book, and you might be thinking, oh, well it makes sense, they're both animals, animated, you know? I'm gonna be honest, I find it a bit odd, considering the Jungle Book takes place in India and the Lion King takes place in Africa. I don't know, it just seems a bit diminishing of the cultures used in the Lion King and the culture represented in the Jungle Book. Just me, but it's a bit odd to have them directly mixed together. Now, aside from that, the lighting here I am absolutely in love with. Lots of neon lights. The boats look amazing. You can very clearly see each and every character. The snake is quite terrifying, actually. It is a great little segment, you know, very beautiful, very well done, despite the choice. Then they move into a little transition moment with some projection on the water screens again with pink elephants on parade. But I'm actually kind of glad that Disney is really into using these older and maybe more forgotten moments of their history in their movies, because you know when people think Disney nowadays, they're gonna think Frozen, Moana, Encanto. They're gonna think the bigger things and mostly the Disney princesses. And then they move into another transition scene which uses the projection again with Genie from Aladdin doing a little bit of Friend Like Me, little interaction from Mickey, and then we get to see Sorcerer Mickey in his robe and his hat. Now it's important to note here, I love the lighting in this specific section because it goes from like a nice blue, magical, sparkly thing to this beautiful rainbow ambiance. Lots of rainbow colors, kind of like a rave, I guess? It's a bit weird. And then we transition to Little Mermaid because that makes sense. I'm gonna be honest, the beginning half of the show, I don't understand the storyline, and I actually didn't understand the storyline until the end. You'll see why. You'll see why. So we have a little bit of like Little Mermaid bit, you know, the little riff there. And then it's Pinocchio. Okay, and then we get into the best segment of Disneyland's Fantasmic, and that is the Pirates section. And let me tell you, when the sailing ship Columbia rounds that corner, you know, people are swinging off of the boat, walking on tiny little tightropes, flipping around. Any of the little dialogue that's going along with the little pirates fighting theme is just fantasmic. Genuinely, this is the best portion of the show, mainly because I favor anything that doesn't use pure projection or projection mapping. Overall, I think this is the best segment of the show. One little comment is I know they're supposed to be like fighting like dead pirates. They're wearing little skeleton pants that you would get at like a Halloween store. It's a bit silly, and you know what? I kind of love it. I kind of love it. And as the boat is passing, the stage is mapped to look like it's burning, representing the burning village scene in both the ride and the movies. And then here's where we transition into our more Disney princess, prince-focused love section with a whole new world introduction. And we see Princess Jasmine and Aladdin on a little magic carpet on the stage. But here's the problem, is their carpet thing is on this pole. Obviously, how are they going to get up in the air? But the problem is the pole is so clearly mechanical and it looks a bit silly. It's a bit silly. I don't know. I just feel like they could have covered it up a bit of a better way, but you know, it's alright. And then here's where we get the little boat section and we see Belle and Adam, Eric and Ariel, and Rapunzel and Eugene. His name is Eugene. We can't keep calling him Flynn Rider. That's his fake name. His name's Eugene. The lighting, the little choreography, the chemistry between each and every actor on these little boats, I think is fantastic. And then with Ariel, even just like with her tail only being able to sit on a rock, I feel like they did a good job bringing this animation to life and making it more lively and fluid. I think it's a really great section. And here we get the mirror from Snow White projected onto a water screen, and he talks to Mickey, kind of threatening him, and then Mickey ends up getting trapped in the mirror and falls into like this dream world thing. Now here's where a story actually happens. Now there's explicit talk about his dream world and the villains taking over his little dream world. That's the story, apparently. So here we don't get any evil queen transition thing. The evil queen just shows up as the old hag with like her little plastic mask being like evil. And then she decides, hey, it's time to go. The water screens come back on and a projection comes up of Ursula and then Chernabog. Obviously Chernabog is going to be a part of the show. Fantasmic is a play on Fantasia. And then the water screens turn off and Maleficent appears on this rising tower. Threatens Mickey. It's like, I'm going to take over your dream world. And you know what? It's fantastic. I love Maleficent. I love Sleeping Beauty. Sleeping Beauty's favorite Disney princess. I love Aurora. And then the water screens turn back on, do a little bit of villain fanfare as Maleficent descends back down, hides, and they bring out this amazing, big Maleficent dragon animatronic. Gorgeous. She's gorgeous. She shoots fire, the water of the rivers of America catch on fire, and Mickey's like, oh my god, wait a minute, this is my dream. And he defeats her. And let me tell you, the way that they do this like little death defeat scene blows my mind. They have these little sparks, explosions coming off of her physical dragon animatronic. And actually we get to see her like yelling, breathing fire out in agony. It's beautiful. And then of course the water screens come back on, the lights on the dragon dim so that way they can move the dragon back beneath the stage and move on to the ending. And then with this, all light and color is restored and the Mark Twain begins rounding the corner with little sparklers on the back of the boat, just kind of being like, hey, the Mark Twain is here. Now the Disney princesses are all in the front. Ariel, Belle, Aurora, Rapunzel, and a couple of the princes. Steamboat Mickey is steering the boat, of course. And then we also get characters like Mary Poppins, and then the Toy Story characters are all on the back of the boat, kind of like a last hurrah. They're all waving their little ribbons. It's beautiful, it's wonderful, honestly. And then we get the big fireworks finale, and we see Sorcerer Mickey, and he's like, that's all, and boom! He goes from up here, Sorcerer Mickey, into down here, little Tuxedo Mickey. It's a great transformation. I love it. Overall, I think Disneyland Fantasmic is a great show. Obviously, there were little bits where I was a bit confused, the transitions, the storyline. It was a bit odd, but you know what's even more odd? Disney World's Fantasmic. Let's get into that mess. Now, one thing to say, a very positive note right out the gate is this is set in Hollywood Studios, and obviously with more space, you can make a proper stage and stadium. There's actual seating. I love that, because after a long day at any of the Disney parks, are you really gonna want to stand there for 25 to 30 minutes? So I do appreciate there's a bigger stage. It's not as cool of a stage, but it is bigger. So the intro starts out the same, the little da-da-da-da-da-da, that thing. There's less like water spouts, shoots, and color and light in this version in the beginning of the intro. Of course, Mickey still does his little sparkler hands. Now, the first segment here is purely Lion King. No Jungle Book here, it's just Lion King, and I appreciate that. However, since it does not include the Jungle Book, the snake puppet does not appear here. Instead, we get some cool animal puppets, like an elephant, giraffe, cheetahs, lions, you know, running across the stage in the background as the boats appear. Now, it's important to note here, there are only 2 boats while Disneyland had 3. And the boats are less colorful, less spectacular, I guess, and we have Rafiki here instead of King Louie. Now, as the transition from one scene to the next, we have like a little projection of a bunch of Disney characters in bubbles. Ones that you wouldn't think of, like Jiminy Cricket, and ones that you would think of, like Elsa and Anna. They float up, and we get like little glimpses into 2 little songs, Be Our Guest and Under the Sea. I don't know, it's a bit odd, but you know what, I'm okay with it. I feel like it's kind of like a transition, like into the world of our Disney movies and animation, and I feel like it's better at getting us into the storyline. And of course, there is also a Pinocchio bit. I still don't know why, but it exists. And then as I was watching Disney World's Fantasmic, I was a bit caught off guard by the main bit of the show. You know, while Disneyland had pirates, it was amazing, fantastic, spectacular, cool. Disney World decided to go with Pocahontas. You know, the movie that Disney shouldn't have made in the first place, and I think should really stop capitalizing off of this. They decided to do a whole bit and be like, boom! Look! Colonization, you guys! And the choreography here is less than spectacular. It's, ha-ha! Mine! My land! And all the little guys in the background are just digging away. And then who comes to save them? Well, the one and only white savior, John Smith. Everyone's like, oh, John Smith. And then Pocahontas appears and she's like, strong woman, but she doesn't do any fighting. Instead, you know what they do with Pocahontas? Only John Smith gets this fantastic little moment. Pocahontas, she goes, John Smith, my love. There are so many reasons why Disney should not do anything with Pocahontas and should forget that it ever existed. You're retheming Splash Mountain for a reason. Please. I don't care that she's one of your official Disney princesses. It's insensitive at this point. Hi there, editor's note. So the version of Disney World's Fantasmic that I watched when researching for this video, you know, before editing, apparently one of the boats just wasn't working. So in the clip that I will be showing, there are 3 boats. 3 boats, and they include Snow White and what's his face? Prince Florian. But yeah, I was wrong, so ignore everything that I say here in that it's a smaller show. One of the floats was just broken, and I was using a different video for clips. So, thank you. And then we do get a tiny little princess moment. However, again, it is very tiny because Disney World only has 2 boats. So who do they pick? Ariel and Eric, and Belle and Adam. And the lighting is less than desirable again, so And then after this very, very tiny little princess moment, it's Disney villain time. Now here, Disney World does include a ton more Disney villains. You know, we got Jafar, we got Scar. Like, we got villains that we did not see in Disneyland's show. Now, once again, the Evil Queen and the magic mirror on the wall does introduce us to this segment. However, the Evil Queen this time first appears as her young Evil Queen self, and then she goes around behind the cauldron and does a little transformation, honestly a great transformation, into her old hag form. Then we have a little water screen transition moment here with more villain fanfare as Disneyland did. And here is where the little snake puppet really big thing comes in, but this time it's Jafar in snake form, where he's like, I'm Mickey, and he's gonna go after him, but no! Mickey fights Jafar and takes him down. This is a pretty good death scene, however not as spectacular as Maleficent's death scene in the Disneyland Fantasmic. You know, Maleficent appears, green fire, she threatens Mickey, she gets lifted up onto this tower once again, and then we have our water screen transition to kind of hide the fact that they're bringing out Maleficent's dragon form. Now her dragon form, it's this. Now if you'll remember Disneyland's version, it's a puppet. One thing I do like about this dragon a bit better in one aspect is the way that it shoots fire. Now it doesn't shoot fire multiple times, but it shoots a fireball at the water, and I think that's pretty cool. Now for this little segment, the way that Mickey defeats Maleficent here is he gets into his little prince costume, pulls the sword right out of the stone that happened to be at the base of the mountain. Again, this is the, like, Mickey's dream world. And he, like, aims it at her and it shoots some sparklers, and then Maleficent dies, but she doesn't die fantastically. It's like, ah, and then a water screen pops up and then puts her death animation there. Oh my god. And then the boat ending, it's Steamboat Willie rounds around the corner. You know, that tiny little boat that has had many accidents, including this one. And then the most infamous thing that comes about this is they put Ariel on the back of the boat, and they can't exactly get Ariel off in time for the fireworks, and this is where we get this, where they have to cover her with a fire retardant blanket. Oh, buddy. Okay. Once the boat passes, we get Mickey as his little sorcerer form, and he's like, wow, that was crazy. Boom, he does a little transformation into a little tuxedo Mickey. We get our firework little spectacular at the end, and then it's over. And you just wasted 30 minutes of your life. But also probably more, because you waited in line to get into the stadium. Like a really long line that stretches the entirety of Hollywood. Awesome! Disney World's Fantasmic is a bit of a joke in comparison. Now, to be fair, regarding the disclaimer at the beginning, the Fantasmic show that I reviewed is the 2022 Disneyland's version of Fantasmic. Now, since Fantasmic has not returned to Disney World, we do not know how they're going to improve it if they choose to do so. I really hope they improve it. Literally, add more lights on the boats. Make another boat. I can understand why there may be some technical difficulties doing another big animatronic Maleficent dragon, but there are some other ways to improve the show. Cut out the Pocahontas bit. I have a great idea. You know what just happened? Encanto. Encanto has some great characters and some great choreography, great songs. It would just be better. It would be way better, Disney. We don't need to rehash your Pocahontas movie over and over again. We really do not need to. It's unnecessary. Now, overall, I do prefer the Disneyland show over the Disney World show, but I want to hear your thoughts down in the comments. How could Disney improve both shows at Disneyland and at Disney World? And as always, thank you for watching. Toodles!